Now, it's becoming the norm to just have a hyphenated Islam. It is not enough anymore to just say, I am a Muslim. Quite often now, when I'm invited into a community that I've never visited before, there's always the question, who is he? What kind of Muslim is he? And when I answer, I'm just a Muslim, they say, yeah, we know, but, and they really get into that mode of trying to insist that I have to belong to something. And I refuse. I tell you, my children asked me, are we Hanafi or Shafi'i? And I told them I will not make the mistake of my father when he told me what school of fiqh that he followed and made me follow. When my children asked me, I said, no, our children behind Islamic school walls. But I say that with qualification that if you cannot teach your children proper Islam, the Islam of the middle path, then we need to go to our community, to our masajid, to our centers, and try to find ways where we can, and it's different from one province to another. We have to teach our children enough and then let go so that they can mix and keep their Islam. Not after grade 8 or after high school, when they go to university, they will have a culture shock. And then the dichotomy of personalities will start. They will start to live two lives. And I've seen many children who went to Islamic schools and now their parents wish that they never send them to Islamic schools. This is a disaster. When the parents say, I wish I never put my children in Islamic schools, this is a disaster. And I say to communities, it is not a status thing in any community that we want to build a school. Now, do you have the financial resources to pay your teachers? Well, you know, they don't need to be paid like other teachers. We will just give them 22,000 a year and they will be fine. No, it is not fine, brothers and sisters. Our teachers are human beings too. And if they have to live below poverty line, they will not teach. It is not enough to have taqwa to be a good teacher. Many teachers at Islamic schools are chosen because, please forgive me, I'm talking to my family. Am I allowed to speak freely? Would you allow me to speak freely? It is not enough to choose a teacher because of the length of his beard. That is not what we are looking for, or because of her hijab. A teacher has skills. We need to make our children love what they are learning. So now, instead of building mediocre Islamic schools, let us now, when I start talking, I don't know if I'll have time, but you see, this is a whole conference kind of topic. You know, as Imam Ziyad mentioned, I can't count how many fundraisers. But every time I do it, I feel guilty. You know why? Because we raise funds, we put them in brick and mortar, and then we go back and say we need more. And we put them, and now we need more. What we need, please, consider this. I'm skipping into the financial challenge to our families and youth. You know what that means? The financial challenge, I submit to you, please, if a few among you will get together and will declare a moratorium on fundraisers to build masajid and Islamic schools, we have enough. Let us raise funds to establish endowment funds, awqaf, and then invest that, and from that you will see after a few years that the financial challenge, economic challenge will be lessened and we will be able to do what we want to do. Now we are trying to reach our beautiful target on a limp. We are unable to reach successfully because we're limping. We're limping back to the religious challenge. So I established two practical things now. One religious, having our children learn how to be our imams, and one is a financial economic challenge, and that is to establish endowment funds. Now, number three, religious challenge. We need to be open with our children. Children just verge into radicalism. Where did they bring this radical Islam? Fanatic Islam. Isn't Islam just Islam? Nowadays, unfortunately, I tell you that part of this phenomenon, or what may explain it, is that ask any Muslim, what do you think of Salafi Islam? What about Sufi Islam? What about Ikhwani Islam? What about Jama'ah Islamiyya Islam? What about Tahriri Islam? What about Takfiri Islam? What about Sunni Islam? What about Shi'i Islam? What about... Now, it's becoming the norm to just have a hyphenated Islam. It is not enough anymore to just say, I am a Muslim. Quite often now, when I'm invited into a community that I've never visited before, there's always the question, who is he? What kind of Muslim is he? And when I answer, I'm just a Muslim, they say, yeah, we know, but... and they really get into that mode of trying to insist that I have to belong to something. And I refuse. I tell you, my children asked me, are we Hanafi or Shafi'i? And I told them I will not make the mistake of my father when he told me what school of fiqh that he followed and made me follow. When my children asked me, I said, no, we are Muslim. But what kind of... we are Muslim, and that's enough. So the challenge, the religious challenge, is from within. And there is a segment which is from outside our community, from within our community. And this is something that we have to deal with in the West. Our children now, technologically, are more open than we could have dreamt of when we were in their age. I was telling Brother Zaid that, when I used to travel, I used to write my father a letter to tell him what I've been doing. He would receive the letter 10 days after, and the news would be 10 days old. Now our children, we were driving from Edmonton to Vancouver, and on the way I needed some help with maps, and Baba, wait a minute. And in less than 30 seconds, the answer will be with me. So I cannot tell my children, now, don't look at the world. I just want you to do this, and I can't. Because now the world is open. What I can do is vaccinate. 21 years old son said to me, he has nothing to do with Islam anymore. He does not want to be a Muslim anymore. And he is at university, in third year university. Why is that? She said, because of those images he's been seeing on the internet and on television of people claiming to represent Islam and Muslims. And he's unable to reconcile those images with his identity as a Muslim. And she said, myself and his father were unable to try to convince him that this is not a representation of Islam, but he was not convinced. I met with that young man, a very intelligent young man, who may represent the silent majority, or maybe if you don't want me to exaggerate and I don't want to exaggerate, I don't want to say majority, but I will say this young man represents a segment of our youth, our children, wherein the parents are unable to deal with the religious challenge that the children have. And mind you, many a time, parents face that challenge as well. It is not our children